מה קורה חברים? Lostdustworth כאן. אני פה ביחד עם JM מ-Havoc Mountain Corporate, הופעת אורח לגבי הציוד שלו. נעבור עכשיו על הציוד שלו, כל דבר בפרט.
Alright, yeah, so I'm JM. I'm the admin over at Havoc Mountain Co. Like Dusty said, I served in an infantry recon battalion during my active service. Oh, you could hear a little rocketry over there. And now in reserves also, infantry reconnaissance. I started out in my service mostly as a point man and a marksman and a navigator. I ended up moving over a little more to breaching over the last couple years. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the setup and how that serves that. The setup right now is just a pretty general setup. It's how I like to keep it at home in a sort of readiness fashion, not necessarily built towards any one thing. Generally, once I get to battalion, I'll tweak, make modifications on the kit depending on what we're going to be doing, where we're going to be going. This past reserve deployment, we did a lot of, I would call it more recon-oriented stuff. Long hikes, searching for goodies. So I actually kept the kit a lot more streamlined. I switched out the cummerbund for an elastic one. I took out side plates, and I kept things the weight much farther down. Right now the kit is built up sort of for more of an urban or Gaza-like environment, a little heavier, a little more plussed up. So when I'm breaching, I like to have options. The Justa pouch that I have on the belt, I like to keep, I could cut up small pieces of charges for breaching doors, or I could throw, round up short lengths of det cord or whatever in there. Many times I like to throw a dangler over here. I can fit 2 sticks, a stick and a half, 2 sticks if I really try of C4 into a dangler pouch. And then what's not pictured here is when I'm doing breaching work, I really like to bring a fanny pack. I've got an Agilite 6-pack configured as a fanny pack that I've been able to fit 3 plus sticks of C4 into it, which I pre-cut into 1/3 lengths. I found that when operating in Lebanon, all the doors there are double doors made out of metal, deadbolted. I found that a 1/3 stick of C4 placed directly over the deadbolt punches about a fist-size hole right through the door. Not too much damage, but just enough to get that door open. And that's been my experience with that. And then, of course, old infantryman special, you can just throw shit into your cargo pockets. I've been able to carry 2 50-meter non-Ls in each cargo pocket in my pants, so that's worked fine, or I'll chuck them in the assault pack. Just to start with, we're going to start from first line kit. Belt kit, gun belt, battle belt, whatever you like to call it. When I'm putting together my kit, I like to think of my belt as a microcosm of my general kit. So everything that I would have on my fighting load, on my vest, I have in small form on my belt. That way, if I'm separated from my armor for any amount of time for any reason, I still have some sort of a fighting load that I can operate with. So to start with, just starting from the belt itself, is just a pretty standard modern style inner outer setup. This belt specifically is the Faro Concepts. Now they call it the redacted belt. They used to call it the Bora belt. Very lightweight, very streamlined, flexible. The inner belt weighs absolutely nothing, very comfortable. 2 rows of Molly with Tegris supporting. Starting at the front, just a standard combat application tourniquet, cat tourniquet. For the holster, this is, I believe, a 6354 RDS series Safariland holster. Just level 1 retention with the release right there. Nothing special. And then along over here, pretty standard, just a frag pouch. Generally keep a frag in there. And then moving on to the other side, this is a Agilite pincer style pistol pouch. Keep a 15-round Glock mag in there. Over here, the Spirit is just a pouch. Acquired it recently. So far has served me pretty well. I think I'd want to upgrade it with some better inserts, something a little more firm. Keep a second pistol mag in there. And this is my quick draw rifle mag. I like to keep a Stanag mag in there just because of how smooth the re-indexing is with it and the pulling it out. P-mags can get caught on elastic sometimes. In here, in the main pouch, right now it's empty, but sometimes I'll keep my NVGs in there, or other administrative tools, markers, right in the rain, whatever the job may call for. And then behind that, the Spiritus Spud pouch. This is a great pouch. I bought 2 of these recently. I could put whatever I want in here. Usually I plus up on double mags in here. I could put a flashbang in there. I could put an extra frag. I could put a 40 mic, which I have in the past. I could put a water bottle of Gatorade. Probably fit a whole can of Monster in there. Yeah, and then on the back, beside for the gloves, which these are Pig. I forgot the name of the model. I have the other set too, which are a little lighter, which I've enjoyed a lot. I went through 2 pairs of them already. These ones are starting to fall apart already, as you can see. But I've used these in wooded environments where there's thorns and jagged rocks. I've used it in urban environment. Just an absolutely great pair of gloves. Although I would say the holes running through the fingers for ventilation have been kind of a drawback. As you can see, this is the finger that I normally grip the front of the rifle with, and the rails on my rifle have just absolutely shredded it. So the structural integrity is sort of diminished by these holes. And then on the back, Spiritus Roll 1, sorry, Ferro Roll 1. I'm not going to open up the whole thing now, but you just loosen it here, yank it out, unroll it, and inside I keep some combat gauze, some regular gauze, Israeli or first care bandage, whatever you like to call it, some super glue, a chem light, and that's about it for the med kit, and that's about it for the belt. So moving on to the plate carrier, this is a Faro Concepts FCPC V5. Great guys over at Faro helped me get this vest even when it was sold out on the website. They helped me out just in discussions over email, and that was great. So over here I just have it set up in the default configuration how it comes. Initially I used to just have 2 tri-glides here because I worried about decoupling. After a couple combat ops in Lebanon, I realized this quick release is just a quality of life thing, and I tried it out afterwards and I'll never go back. This is just the best thing to come to vests since vests themselves, in my opinion. I got over here in the chest mounted admin, just in Israel they like to call this a tester. I'm not really sure what it tests exactly, but it's just a little flathead screwdriver. It's great for clearing jams or whatever. Machine gunners need to use this shit all the time, pull like a casing out. It's a little something to wipe off lenses, a little permanent marker. That's always handy to have. I usually keep a couple batteries, spare batteries in there. And of course my trusty Leatherman. This is just a great tool. Front plate bag, just pretty much all Faro over here. This is the Faro dope flap. Keep the half pouch in here, generally just with an extra first care bandage, or sometimes with admin gear. Pretty much just anything that I might need to throw in there, and I keep this area open. Sometimes I'll go with the full pocket, sometimes I keep it on the half. I could throw an extra tourniquet in here. I could throw, you know, flex cuffs, whatever, an extra flashbang. Over here, pretty standard, just 3P mags in turnover inserts and trauma shears. These come in handy all the time. Moving over to the left side, I like to keep my nods in this GP pouch, this Faro GP pouch. Keep the nods in there just with a little bit of foam that I took out of the packaging that the nod came in, just to keep it a little bit protected. And then on the back, just another cat rubber banded to the tourniquet, to the cummerbund. I generally like to keep the bigger items on the left side so that it doesn't really interrupt the draw of that pistol too much. Otherwise, you end up just pulling the pistol out straight into a bunch of gear, gets stuck. It's slow as hell, it's annoying, and I don't like that at all. Moving over to the left side, I got another GP pouch that I generally keep pretty empty, just to keep it flat. It's more just in case I got shit I need to put in. Sometimes I'll keep, right now it's empty, sometimes I'll put snacks in there, or wet wipes or what have you. In combat ops that last anything more than 6 to 8 hours, the potential for needing to take a shit in the field starts to creep in, and that's when you're going to want to be carrying wet wipes and crap bags and, you know, doggy bags, what have you. Another tourniquet over here. As you can tell, if you've been keeping track, I've got 1, 2, 3 tourniquets on this kit, and generally I add a fourth. You have 4 limbs that you'd like to hang on to, so my recommendation is carry 4 cats. If you're good without an arm or a leg, if you're good rocking, missing 1 limb, then go ahead, carry less cats, but I'd like to have 1 for each limb if that's the ideal. On the back, also from Faro, just the water back panel. Doesn't fit the full 3 liters like a lot of guys generally like to carry. I usually use this in conjunction with an assault pack, so I can carry more water or whatever. And then, not pictured here right now, but I also have the Faro Banger back panel, which I've used in stuff in more urban environments. You can carry a bunch of frags along the back or flashbangs or whatever. And then, of course, on the inside, we're working with also Faro 3AC armor inserts. These are soft armor, level 3A. Works good against frag, against any type of pistol caliber. And I chose these specifically over hard, sappy sides just because they cover a lot more of the side of the torso. And from my experience, the vast majority of injuries guys are getting in the field are shrapnel injuries, peppered all over the side of the torso. Super important. I know a guy who got shrapnel through and through the chest, and that took him a while to recover from, and if he would have been wearing side plates, this type of thing would have stopped it. And in addition, they provide quite a bit of structure, so if I'll throw the vest on, I didn't cover this, but I got the little 2-inch first spear tubes, which are also great. If I throw this on, modern plate carriers, they get pretty heavy pretty fast. Start to feel like they're just bearing down on your shoulders, killing your neck, crushing your spine, making your life miserable. Well, if you have these little side armor plates, once you throw that vest on, those side armor plates kind of just hug your torso, and they provide quite a bit of structure. It's almost like wearing an AVS harness in my opinion. And right now I'm not feeling any weight in those shoulders at all. So that's why I prefer that side armor. And yeah, in general, that's the kit. Might make some upgrades in the future in terms of placards and what have you. But for now, that's worked pretty well for me. And yeah.
Thank you, Jay, for getting here today. זה היה ג'יי מהאבוק מאונטן קורפ. אנחנו כמובן נשים את הלינק שלו בתיאור. מוזמנים לעקוב אחריו, מוזמנים לעקוב אחריי, לשתף, לתת לייק, זה מאוד עוזר לערוץ ולחשיפה, וכמובן לצפות לעוד דברים להמשך. תודה רבה. Get the fuck up out my face. Money tucked inside the safe. If you ask me what I want, what you brought me in the case.